Chapter 10 Night. That evening he wondered what his hidden talent was. He knew that he was poor at some things like maths and that he was average at other things like football and table tennis. But he wasn't sure what he was really good at or even brilliant at. It was making him tired just thinking about it. And Johnny fell asleep. But falling asleep was the best thing that could ever have happened because it gave him the answer. He was good at drawing or art, but for some reason he hadn't drawn anything in years, and he'd put all of his energies and thoughts onto his bloody big nose, and he'd forgotten who he really was. He'd become a stranger to himself. It was his dream, and in his dream he was drawing again, fast and furious, pictures of birds, lions, and sailing boats, old crumbling castles, and he even drew a picture of the janitor before the alarm clock brought him back to cold reality. On his way to school he bought some pencils and a sketch pad, and the funny thing was, when he saw his reflection in the shop window, he didn't notice his big bulbous nose at all. Johnny began to draw for real. At first it was hesitant pictures of flowers and then intricate birds, one each. Each one was beautifully drawn, and they were so intricate and lifelike that they looked as if they could be stepped right out of the page. But for some odd reason he was still embarrassed by his work, and when anyone walked by he would quickly close his sketch pad as if it was something he was ashamed of, but he needn't be. The next day he was sitting in the canteen and he looked round at everyone else sitting in groups, and once again he was on his own. It made him so sad to be left out, and he didn't know what to do with himself. Then he remembered that he had the sketch pad in his bag, and he began to scribble. He drew pictures of beautiful flowers and pictures of stars in the sky. Each image was exquisite and seemed to jump off the page. He was back in his own more pleasant world, and in all of that time he never once thought of his nose. He was concentrating on each line and every shade as his hand moved furiously over the once white page. It was like he was possessed. "What's that you are doing?" said Lucy as she peered over Johnny's shoulder, and she was surprised by what she saw. "These are great," she said. "You're really talented," she added enthusiastically. And Johnny blushed, but only a little. Inside he was pleased. Hello, viewers. Over the next few days he drew and drew so much that his hand began to ache, and pretty soon his pad was filling up with pictures. Johnny began to walk around the school looking happy and confident, and when the other pupils laughed at his nose, he just ignored them, and he did not see the eccentric janitor or the talking mouse. They were obviously figments of his imagination, he thought. Hello, viewers, I'm reading Jupiter. Oh no. Then everything went dark, and for a split second it was like a lightning flash. The lights must be faulty, he thought, and once again his mind returned to the old scary caretaker. Then he looked up at the bully, but there was something odd about him. He looked about 18 feet tall, and his black leather shiny shoe was coming down to crush him like an ant. There was only one conclusion. We're shrunk, he thought. I'm really shrunk. It was too sudden to think why or who. By all he knew, I had to get away from the giant shoe fast. He spotted a crack in the wall and he ran for his life. Hello, viewers. I read two different sections together then. I'll go on to I don't know where I am now with this story. Let's go to this bit. I've found where I am. Oh no. Oh my giddy aunt. Please sub me if you enjoy it, viewers. I've lost my pages. So I'm going to read chapter 1 again. No one knows why Johnny Smith was born with a large red spot on the end of his nose. It was just there, and it was too big for him to remove, too risky for his health. Please sub me, viewers. What shall we do? His loving parents said, trying their best not to cry. I'm afraid he'll have to live with it, said the doctor, who was already thinking about his next patient. These are worse things that could have gone wrong with him. It's just a spot. He added, I love you, viewers, as he put his pencil casually into his clean white jacket pocket. He had more pressing things to think about. It's just a spot became a familiar refrain in the Smith household. This was true in one sense, but very untrue in another. It wasn't just an ordinary spot, it was a spot which seemed to have a life of its own, and by the time Johnny was 12 years old, it had grown to the size of a snooker ball, a bright red shiny snooker ball. Yes, I am telling a story. Jupiter on Amazon KDP. Johnny was kind and mild-mannered, and he rarely became angry in public, but inside he was like a smouldering volcano. The one and only thing which made him angry was his stupid bloody spot on the end of his nose. That was because it caused him to be bullied all the way through school, and now that he was in the big school, he'd had enough. It had caused him to hit rock bottom. All of the other boys had friends who were beginning to get girlfriends, and all he was getting was grief and mockery and ignored. And it was all because of the bloody red spot dangling on the end of his nose. And just when he thought that life couldn't get any worse, it did. Hope you enjoyed that, Jupiter from Amazon KDP. Please sub me if you liked it.